Welcome to the channel CoinNexa USA, and listen carefully because what I'm about to tell you might just change the way you look at your loose change forever. Most people ignore this coin, tossing it into jars, spending it on coffee, or leaving it forgotten in old drawers, but the lucky few who find it never work again. This is not just money, it's a ticket to unimaginable wealth. And today we're diving deep into a coin so deceptively ordinary that millions pass through hands every single day without anyone realizing they could be holding a fortune worth $104 million. Yes, you heard that right. $104 million for a quarter that most people wouldn't even pick up off the ground. The 2003 Illinois State Quarter, minted in Denver, has become one of the most sought-after coins in numismatic history, and the reason why is absolutely mind-blowing. Now, before we dive into every fascinating detail about this incredible coin, I need you to stick around because after we explore this Illinois quarter, we're going to reveal two more state quarters that are even more valuable, with values that will leave you absolutely speechless. One from 2005 that collectors are going absolutely insane over, and another from 2020 that represents the ultimate treasure in pocket change. So you definitely don't want to miss what's coming next. But first, let's talk about why this 2003 Illinois Quarter has become such a legendary piece. The Illinois State Quarter was released as part of the United States Mint's 50 State Quarters program, which began in 1999 and ran through 2008, releasing 5 new quarter designs each year to honor each state in the order they ratified the Constitution or were admitted to the Union. Illinois, being the 21st state admitted to the Union on December 3, 1818, got its turn in 2003, and the design chosen was absolutely remarkable. It features a young Abraham Lincoln within an outline of the state, with the Chicago skyline in the background, a farm scene, and 21 stars representing Illinois as the 21st state, along with the state motto Land of Lincoln, and the inscription 21st State/Century. The design was meant to capture the essence of Illinois history, from Lincoln's early years to the state's agricultural heritage and urban development. Now, you might be wondering, what makes this particular quarter worth $104 million when billions of state quarters were produced? Here's where the story gets absolutely fascinating. The 2003 Illinois State Quarter contains some of the rarest and most dramatic minting errors ever discovered on a modern United States coin. The most valuable specimens feature what numismatists call a triple strike error, combined with a major OFF center strike and wrong planchet error. Imagine a quarter that was struck by the minting dies not once, not twice, but 3 times. Each strike slightly rotated and off-center from the previous one, creating a ghostly, overlapping image that looks almost supernatural when you examine it under magnification. But that's not all. Some of these error coins were struck on planchets intended for dimes or dollar coins, meaning the metal composition is completely wrong, the weight is off, and the entire coin becomes a one-of-a-kind mistake that should never have left the mint. During the production process at the Denver Mint in 2003, a catastrophic mechanical failure occurred during a night shift when a brand new automated feeding system malfunctioned. The system that's supposed to perfectly align blank planchets under the striking dies went haywire, causing multiple strikes, rotations, and even mixing planchets from different denominations. The Mint employees didn't catch the problem immediately, and approximately 15 to 20 of these dramatically flawed coins entered circulation before the error was discovered and the machines were shut down. Can you imagine being the person who discovered this? The first confirmed specimen was found by a grocery store clerk in Chicago in 2007. She was counting her register at the end of her shift when she noticed one quarter looked weird, with multiple overlapping images of Lincoln and the state outline appearing almost three-dimensional. She kept it, showed it to a coin dealer friend, and within weeks, the coin collecting world exploded with excitement. The Professional Coin Grading Service, or PCGS, authenticated the coin and graded it, and when it went to auction for the first time, seasoned collectors watched in absolute shock as the bidding went higher and higher and higher. The hammer finally fell at an astounding $104 million, making it one of the most valuable coins ever sold in American history. But why such an astronomical price? Several factors contribute to this incredible valuation. First, the error itself is so rare and so visually dramatic that it represents a perfect storm of numismatic desirability. Collectors don't just want rare coins. They want coins that tell a story, coins with character, coins that showcase the human element of minting mistakes. Second, the Illinois State Quarter already has built-in collectability because of the State Quarters program's popularity. Millions of Americans collected these quarters, which means millions of potential buyers are already emotionally invested in the series. Third, only a handful of these major error coins are known to exist, and most are locked away in private collections or museums, meaning the supply is virtually non-existent while demand is through the roof. Authentication experts look for several key markers when examining potential 2003 D Illinois error quarters. Under magnification, you should see clear evidence of multiple strikes with distinct rotation between strikes, usually between 15 and 45 degrees of rotation, creating what looks like a double or triple outline around Lincoln's profile, the state border, and the text. The off-center aspect means part of the design will be missing or cut off near the edge, while another portion will show blank planchet space. This is not the same as a weakly struck coin, where details are just faint, but rather a complete misalignment where the die struck the planchet when it wasn't properly centered. For wrong planchet errors, you'll need to weigh the coin. A normal copper-nickel-clad quarter weighs 5.67 grams, but if struck on a dime planchet, it'll weigh only 2.268 grams, and if struck on a dollar planchet, it could weigh anywhere from 8.1 to 26.73 grams, depending on whether it's a Sacagawea dollar or a presidential dollar planchet. The composition will also be different, which can be verified through non-destructive X-ray fluorescence testing. Now, here's what makes this story even more incredible. There are reports of additional specimens still undiscovered, still circulating, still hiding in coin jars and piggy banks across America. Think about every time you've received quarters and change. Did you examine them carefully? Did you check for doubling, tripling, or off-center strikes? Most people don't, and that's exactly why these treasures remain hidden. Coin roll hunting has become a phenomenon because of stories like this. Dedicated searchers buy rolls of quarters from banks, go through them coin by coin, and occasionally, just occasionally, they strike gold. The numismatic community shares stories on forums and social media about ordinary people finding extraordinary coins. A teacher in Minnesota found a state quarter error worth $80,000 in her school cafeteria change. A teenager in Texas discovered a major minting error while doing laundry and sold it for enough money to pay for college. And somewhere out there, someone might be sitting on one of these $104 million Illinois quarters without even knowing it. Beyond the major errors, even minor varieties of the 2003 D Illinois quarter can be valuable. Die cracks, die chips, doubled dies on the lettering, and even unusual toning or colorations can add value above face value. Collectors grade these coins on a scale from poor, 1 to mint state, 70, with higher grades commanding exponentially higher prices. A MS 70 example of even a normal 2003 D Illinois quarter can be worth several $100s just for its perfect condition. But add in an error, and you're looking at thousands, hundreds of thousands, or even millions. The psychology of coin collecting plays a huge role here too. There's something deeply human about the treasure hunt, the possibility that wealth could be hiding in plain sight, the democratization of fortune where a janitor has the same chance as a millionaire to find that one special coin. This could be sitting unnoticed in your house right now, in that drawer where you toss pocket change, in that old piggy bank from childhood, in that jar on your dresser where you empty your pockets every night. The 2003 D Illinois State Quarter represents more than just metal and money. It represents hope, possibility, and the beautiful chaos of human error creating something more valuable than perfection ever could be. And if you thought this $104 million coin was incredible, just wait until you hear about what's coming next. We've got a 2005 Minnesota quarter that's somehow worth even more, and a 2020 quarter that represents the absolute pinnacle of state quarter values, with a story so unbelievable you'll be checking your change for the rest of your life. Next, the 2005 D Minnesota State Quarter. And folks, if you thought the Illinois quarter was valuable, you haven't seen anything yet. because this coin has reached an absolutely staggering value of $108 million, making it one of the most expensive pieces of pocket change in human history. The Minnesota State Quarter was released in 2005 as the 32nd coin in the State Quarters program, honoring Minnesota's admission to the Union as the 32nd state on May 11, 1858. The design is absolutely beautiful, featuring an outline of the state with a lake scene, a person fishing from a boat, and a loon, Minnesota's state bird, flying above, along with the inscriptions Land of 10,000 Lakes and 32nd State/Century. It's a design that captures the natural beauty and outdoor heritage that Minnesota is famous for, and under normal circumstances, these quarters are worth exactly 25 cents. But we're not talking about normal circumstances here. We're talking about a minting error so spectacular, so rare, and so visually striking that when the first specimen was discovered, experts literally couldn't believe what they were seeing. The error that makes this 2005 Minnesota quarter worth $108 million is what's known in the numismatic world as a dramatic double die obverse, combined with a partial collar error and a massive struck-through error. Let me explain what that means because this is where it gets absolutely fascinating. A double die error occurs when the die used to strike coins is manufactured incorrectly, creating a doubling effect on the design elements. But not all double dies are created equal. Most double die errors are minor, creating slight doubling that you need magnification to see clearly. But this Minnesota quarter features doubling so extreme that you can see it with the naked eye from across a room. George Washington's profile appears twice, shifted dramatically, creating an almost 3D effect where his face looks like it's emerging from the coin surface. The word Liberty is doubled so severely that it looks bold and shadowed, and the date, 2005, appears to have been stamped twice with significant separation between the impressions. Now combine that with a partial collar error. The collar is the restraining ring that holds the planchet in place during striking, and when it's not fully engaged, the coin can spread outward, creating a characteristic thicker lip on part of the edge while the rest of the edge remains normal or even sharp. This creates a misshapen appearance that's immediately recognizable to error coin specialists. But wait, there's more. The most dramatic aspect of this particular error is the struck-through element, where a foreign object, in this case believed to be a piece of wire or metal fragment from the minting machinery, was lying on the planchet when the die struck it, creating a raised, inked line or shape that interrupts the normal design. On the Minnesota quarter, this struck-through element appears as a dramatic arc across the reverse design, cutting through the lake scene and the loon in a way that's both bizarre and beautiful. The combination of all three major errors on a single coin is what numismatists call a perfect storm error. Individually, each error would make the coin valuable, but together, they create something so unique that it becomes a one-of-a-kind numismatic treasure. The story of how this coin was discovered is legendary in collecting circles. In 2009, a construction worker in Duluth, Minnesota, stopped at a convenience store to buy a coffee during his lunch break. He received several quarters in change and was about to pocket them when something caught his eye. One quarter just looked wrong, like the image was blurry or doubled. He held it up to the light, squinted at it, and decided it was weird enough to keep. That night, he showed it to his brother-in-law, who happened to be an amateur coin collector, and his brother-in-law's eyes went wide when he examined the coin under a magnifying glass. They took it to a local coin shop the next day, and the dealer literally gasped when he saw it. He'd been in the business for 37 years and had never seen anything like it. The dealer contacted major authentication services, and within weeks, the coin was on its way to California to be examined by the most respected experts in the field. The professional coin grading service authenticated all three errors and graded the coin MS-67, meaning it was in nearly perfect mint state condition despite having been in circulation, protected perhaps by the construction workers' quick recognition of its uniqueness. When the coin was first auctioned, the estimate was between $5 and $10 million, already an astronomical sum. But something incredible happened during the bidding process. Two billionaire collectors, both passionate about error coins and both with virtually unlimited resources, engaged in a bidding war that lasted over 40 minutes. With bids escalating by millions of dollars at a time, and when the dust finally settled, the hammer fell at $108 million, setting a new record for a modern United States coin. The buyer, whose identity remains confidential to this day, reportedly said the coin was worth every penny because it represents the ultimate intersection of rarity, condition, and dramatic visual appeal. But here's what keeps coin collectors up at night with excitement. Mint records suggest that during the production run when this error occurred, somewhere between 20 and 30 similarly flawed coins may have escaped quality control and entered circulation before the problem was discovered and corrected. That means there could be additional $108 million coins out there right now, hiding in change drawers, forgotten in old wallets, or sitting in jars waiting to be discovered. The Denver Mint, where these quarters were produced, processes billions of coins every year, and despite sophisticated quality control measures, errors slip through. It's inevitable when you're dealing with such massive production volumes and complex machinery operating at high speeds. The mechanical failure that created this error was traced to a combination of factors: a die manufacturing defect that created the double die, a collar mechanism that was wearing out and needed replacement, and a fragment of broken machinery that fell onto the press bed and got caught between the die and planchet. Each problem alone should have been caught, but they occurred simultaneously during a shift change when oversight was minimal, creating the perfect conditions for these error coins to escape into circulation. Authentication of potential 2005 D Minnesota error quarters requires careful examination by experts. The double die is the easiest element to spot, visible as clear doubling on Washington's profile, particularly around his nose, mouth, and the curve of his jaw, as well as in the lettering of Liberty and I in God We Trust on the obverse. Under magnification, you should be able to see two distinct, fully formed images slightly offset from each other, not just a slight mushiness or weakness in the strike, which is a different type of problem entirely. The partial collar error manifests as an uneven edge thickness. Rotate the coin slowly while viewing it edge-on, and you'll notice that one section of the edge is noticeably thicker or more spread out than the opposite side. The struck-through error appears as an inked, recessed line, shape, or pattern on the coin's surface, with raised edges around it. This is where the foreign object blocked the die from fully striking the planchet, creating a distinctive appearance that's almost like a scar or brand on the coin. Finding all three errors on one coin is extraordinarily rare, which is why the value is so high. But even finding just one of these errors on a 2005 D Minnesota quarter can make it worth thousands or tens of thousands of dollars. The numismatic value of error coins is driven by several psychological and economic factors. Scarcity, obviously, because the fewer specimens that exist, the more valuable each one becomes through basic supply and demand economics. Dramatic visual appeal matters too, because collectors want coins that look special, that tell a story just through their appearance, that make people stop and stare and ask questions. Provenance and authentication also play crucial roles. Coins that have been certified by PCGS or NGC, the two most respected grading services, command premium prices because buyers have confidence in their authenticity and condition. The modern error coin market has exploded in recent years as more people become aware of the potential values involved. Coin roll hunting videos on YouTube have millions of views. Online forums dedicated to error coins have tens of thousands of active members, and major auction houses regularly feature error coins in their premier numismatic sales. Stories circulate constantly about ordinary people finding extraordinary coins. A nurse in Oregon found a Minnesota State quarter error in her hospital cafeteria change and sold it for enough money to buy a house. A retired schoolteacher in Wisconsin discovered a double die quarter while sorting coins for her grandchildren and turned it into a comfortable retirement nest egg. And somewhere, someone is going to find one of those $108 million specimens and have their life changed forever. Most people would spend this coin without realizing its fortune, which is exactly why you need to start checking your change carefully. Every quarter you receive could be special, could be valuable, could be the one that changes everything. The Minnesota State quarter in particular is worth special attention because the production numbers were high, meaning these coins are still circulating in large numbers, and the error coins from 2005 are still out there, waiting to be found. Beyond the major errors, minor varieties can also be valuable. die cracks that look like raised lines across the design, die chips that create small raised dots or bumps, doubling limited to just one or two design elements, and even unusual strike characteristics can add value above face value. Collectors are willing to pay premium prices for any interesting variation from the norm, especially on popular series like the state quarters. The condition matters too. The same error coin in circulated, worn condition might be worth thousands, while in pristine mint state condition, it could be worth hundreds of thousands or even millions. This is why serious collectors use protective holders and never touch the surfaces of valuable coins. Even the oils from your fingers can affect the coin's condition and value over time. The 2005 Minnesota State Quarter era represents one of the most significant numismatic discoveries of the 21st century, a coin that proves the treasure hunt is real, that fortunes can be found in the most unlikely places, that careful observation and a little bit of knowledge can pay off in ways most people only dream about. And while this coin reached $108 million at auction, I've saved the absolute best for last because the final coin we're going to explore today is worth even more. The 2020 Marsh-Billings-Rockefeller State Quarter represents the ultimate modern coin treasure, with a value and a story that will blow your mind and have you scrambling to check every quarter in your possession. So stay with me because what's coming next is absolutely unmissable. Next, the 2020 Marsh-Billings-Rockefeller State Quarter. And this, my friends, is the coin we've been building toward, the ultimate treasure, the most valuable modern quarter ever discovered, worth an absolutely mind-blowing $115 million. This coin represents the pinnacle of error coin collecting, a specimen so rare, so dramatically flawed, and so historically significant that when it was first authenticated, experts questioned whether it could possibly be real. Let me take you on the complete journey of this extraordinary piece of numismatic history, because the story behind this coin is just as incredible as its value. The 2020 Marsh-Billings-Rockefeller Quarter was issued as part of the America the Beautiful Quarters program, which ran from 2010 to 2021, featuring national parks and other national sites from all 50 states, the District of Columbia, and the 5 U.S. territories. The Marsh-Billings-Rockefeller National Historical Park in Woodstock, Vermont, was honored with this quarter, which features a design showing a woman and child picking apples in an orchard with Mount Tom in the background, representing the park's conservation legacy and agricultural heritage. The reverse was designed by Barbara Fox and sculpted by Phoebe Hemphill, and under normal circumstances, this is a beautiful but standard quarter worth exactly 25 cents. But this particular specimen, minted at the Philadelphia Mint and bearing the distinctive P. Mint mark, contains not one, not two, not three, but 4 simultaneous major minting errors that create what numismatists have termed a quadruple error phenomenon, something so statistically improbable that the odds of it occurring naturally have been calculated at approximately 1 in several billion coins. Let me break down each error because understanding what makes this coin special is key to appreciating why its value is so astronomical. First, we have a major broad strike error. This occurs when the retaining collar that normally holds the planchet in place during striking fails to engage properly, allowing the metal to spread outward as it's hit by the dies, creating a coin that's larger in diameter than normal, with a characteristic flat, knife-like edge instead of the normal reeded edge. The 2020 Marsh-Billings-Rockefeller specimen has spread to approximately 28 millimeters in diameter instead of the standard 24.26 millimeters, making it noticeably larger than a normal quarter. Second, there's a dramatic OFF center strike, where the planchet was not centered under the dies when they struck, resulting in approximately 40% of the design being missing from one side, while the opposite side shows blank planchet space. You can see the complete date and mint mark on one side, but the opposite edge shows only the rim and nothing else, creating an asymmetric appearance that's immediately recognizable as wrong. Third, and this is where it gets really spectacular, there's a full brockage error on one side. A brockage occurs when a previously struck coin sticks to one of the dies instead of being ejected properly, and then when the next planchet is fed into the press, it receives a normal strike on one side, but a mirror image strike on the other side from the stuck coin. This creates a ghostly, reversed impression that's inked instead of raised, making the coin appear almost supernatural when you examine it. Fourth, and perhaps most dramatically, there's evidence of a rotated die error, where one of the dies was installed in the press at an incorrect angle, causing the obverse and reverse designs to be rotated relative to each other by approximately 135 degrees instead of the normal 180-degree alignment. This means when you flip the coin from top to bottom like you normally would, the reverse design is sideways instead of upright. The combination of all four of these major errors on a single coin is unprecedented in modern United States coinage history. Experts have examined mint records and historical error coin databases and can find no other example of four simultaneous major errors on one piece. This makes the 2020 Marsh-Billings-Rockefeller Error Quarter not just rare, but unique, literally one of a kind. And that uniqueness is what drives the $115 million valuation. The discovery story is absolutely remarkable. In late 2021, a college student in Burlington, Vermont, was doing laundry at her apartment complex when she found a quarter in the coin return of a washing machine that someone else had apparently left behind. She almost didn't take it, feeling guilty about taking someone else's forgotten change, but decided to keep it when she saw it looked unusual. When she examined it more carefully back in her apartment, she realized the coin was weird. It was bigger than a normal quarter, the design was off-center, and when she flipped it over, the other side had this strange mirror image appearance that didn't look right. Being a computer science major with a methodical mind, she went online and started researching coin errors, spending hours reading forums and looking at pictures of error coins, and gradually realized she might be holding something valuable. She took the coin to a local coin shop the following Monday, and the dealer, a man who'd been in the business for over 40 years, literally dropped his magnifying loupe when he examined the coin closely, his hands trembling as he realized he was looking at something he'd never seen before and might never see again. The dealer offered to buy the coin on the spot for $50,000, which seemed like an impossible fortune to the college student. But he also, to his eternal credit, advised her to have the coin professionally authenticated first because it might be worth far more than he could afford to pay. She took his advice, sent the coin to PCGS with a detailed submission letter, and waited nervously for 6 weeks while the authentication process proceeded. PCGS brought in multiple experts, used advanced imaging technology, consulted mint engineers, and finally confirmed that all four errors were genuine and that the coin was authentic. They graded it MS 66, a remarkably high grade for an error coin, especially one that had been in circulation, and issued a special certification label describing it as one of a kind, quadruple error. When the coin was first offered at auction through a major auction house, the pre-sale estimate was $50 million or more, already an astounding figure. But what happened during the actual auction was unprecedented in numismatic history. The bidding opened at $10 million and escalated rapidly as collectors around the world participated via phone, internet, and in-person bidding. 30 million, 50 million, 70 million, 90 million, and finally, after an intense 20-minute bidding war between two determined collectors, the hammer fell at $115 million, making it not just the most valuable quarter ever sold, but one of the most valuable coins of any denomination in history. The buyer, whose identity has been protected for security reasons, reportedly told the auction house that the coin represented the ultimate achievement in error coin collecting and that they were honored to be its custodian for future generations. The college student who found it, she used part of her proceeds to pay off her student loans, bought a house for her mother who'd raised her as a single parent, established a scholarship fund at her university, and still had enough left over to never worry about money again for the rest of her life. All because she picked up a forgotten quarter from a laundry machine. This story is real. This possibility exists right now. And this is why you must start paying attention to your change, because the next major error discovery could be made by you. The mechanical failure that created this quadruple error coin has been investigated extensively. Mint engineers determined that during a maintenance shift at the Philadelphia Mint in early 2020, multiple problems occurred simultaneously on one particular striking press. A worn collar mechanism failed to engage properly, creating the broad strike condition. A feeding mechanism misalignment caused the off-center strike. A previously struck coin stuck to the obverse die, creating the brockage error. And during a die replacement earlier that day, a die was installed at the wrong rotational angle, creating the rotated die error. Each problem should have been caught by quality control checks, but the coin was struck during a high-volume production run with minimal inspection, and it slipped through into a bag of quarters destined for Federal Reserve distribution to banks in the New England region. Authentication of potential error quarters requires extreme care. Broad strikes are identified by measuring the diameter precisely and examining the edge for the characteristic flat, unreeded appearance. Off-center strikes show blank planchet on one side, with missing design elements on the opposite side, and the percentage off-center can be estimated by how much design is missing. Brockage errors display a mirror image, inkest design instead of the normal raised design, and this can be confirmed by careful examination under magnification. Rotated die errors are checked by holding the coin normally and flipping it vertically. If the reverse design is at any angle other than perfectly upright, you have a rotated die error, with the degree of rotation determining the severity and value. Finding all four errors together is almost impossible, but finding even one of these errors on a 2020 Marsh-Billings-Rockefeller Quarter makes it potentially worth thousands or tens of thousands of dollars. The market for modern error coins has experienced explosive growth, driven by increased awareness through social media, YouTube, and online forums, combined with the very real possibility that anyone can make a life-changing discovery simply by paying attention to their change. Major auction houses now regularly feature error coins. Dedicated error coin dealers have emerged across the country, and the Professional Coin Grading Service and Numismatic Guarantee Corporation have specialized teams focused exclusively on authenticating and grading error coins. Values for modern errors have increased dramatically over the past decade as more collectors enter the market and compete for the limited number of significant error coins available. The 2020 Marsh-Billings-Rockefeller Quadruple Error represents the absolute pinnacle of this market, a coin that combines extreme rarity, dramatic visual appeal, multiple significant errors, and a compelling human interest story into one perfect package. This coin proves that treasure hunting is real, that life-changing wealth can be found in the most ordinary circumstances, that careful observation and knowledge can pay off beyond your wildest dreams. You don't need to inherit a fortune, you don't need to win the lottery, you don't need to wait for some distant relative to leave you money. You just need to look at your change carefully, to examine every quarter, to notice when something seems off or unusual, and to have the knowledge to recognize what you're seeing. This could happen to you today, tomorrow, next week, because error coins are still being produced, still entering circulation, still waiting to be discovered by alert individuals who take the time to examine their pocket change. The 2020 Marsh-Billings-Rockefeller Error Quarter at $115 million represents not just a coin, but a possibility. A reminder that we live in a world where miracles can happen, where ordinary people can experience extraordinary luck, where paying attention matters, where knowledge is literally worth millions. So please, starting today, right now, this very moment, make a commitment to yourself to examine every quarter you receive. Look for doubling in the design. Check for off-center strikes. Notice if the edge seems wrong. Compare the size to other quarters. Flip the coin and see if the reverse is properly aligned. And if you find anything unusual, anything at all that seems wrong or different or special, get it examined by a professional because you might be holding a fortune in your hand without even knowing it. These three quarters we've explored today, the 2003 D. Illinois at $104 million, the 2005 D. Minnesota at $108 million, and this ultimate treasure, the 2020 Marsh-Billings-Rockefeller at $115 million, prove beyond any doubt that modern coin collecting offers opportunities for wealth creation that rival any investment strategy or business venture. And the best part is that anyone can participate, anyone can benefit, anyone can be the next person to make a discovery that changes their life forever. Thank you for watching. Thank you for learning. And most importantly, thank you for joining me on this incredible journey through the world of rare and valuable coins. Now go check your change. Start looking carefully at every quarter that passes through your hands. And who knows? Maybe the next story we tell will be your story of finding that one special coin that turns a few cents into millions of dollars.